welcome to another Lizzie set in a hotel room. We went to Cardiff to see the RuPaul's Christmas Queens show, and unfortunately, due to beautiful British weather, they kept cancelling the trains, and then the snow came. So we're currently snowed in, stuck in our hotel room, hoping that they don't cancel any more trains, which means we've got about 3 hours to kill. So I figured I'm just going to chat at camera about all the things that I've been doing recently, because, well, there's not much to do when you're stuck in a hotel room. But I thought I'd go through one of the things that's been going through my mind after seeing a couple of the films over the summer, particularly the Valerian film, Ghost in the Shell, and then going to see the new Blade Runner 2046. And that was the whole aspect of like world building, and when a beautiful world kind of is amazing but they compromise story, or they put so much CGI and visual effects into something that they forget any kind of characterizations. And the difference being that Valerian and Ghost in the Shell, I hated Ghost in the Shell, everyone knows that, like I've had previous videos on it, and not just because I'm not a big fan of remakes, but because it was bland and uninteresting, and it looked so visually spectacular, but the characters didn't have any heart and soul, and I couldn't connect with them. And this was one of the problems that Valerian had, that visually and just such an interesting world was built, and I loved the alien races and the dynamics and the space station, and I would love to have seen like the adventures of these characters through this world and how they interacted with it, and I was just so excited for it. But then I really didn't like the main two characters. I found them bland and uninteresting, and I didn't believe their epic romance. They kind of felt just a bit young and a bit cocky, and it had no heart and soul and a really bland plot, and which was a shame, because amazing world building and just nothing intriguing about the story or the characters. I mean, it was an entertaining film, it was better than Ghost in the Shell, but more because I kept looking at every background of every scene going, oh my goodness, look at this and look at that, and I love this alien race, and I'd love to see the struggles between all the various aliens on the spaceship and stuff, and you know, there was just so much you could do with that. And I know some of it's been done before in things like Babylon 5, with like various different races trying to live on board one giant spaceship with loads of peace treaties and stuff. But it was such a wonderful world. And then I went to see the new Blade Runner film, and it was a totally different beast, because yes, visually absolutely stunning, but it did my favourite thing, and that's mix special effects with all the lovely practical effects. Like there were actual practical like vehicles that they got in, unlike the other like Valerian where everything was just CGI, and it looked like a natural world that had evolved, and they clearly built some amazing sets that may not even been used that often, but because they built those rooms for them to sit in, and the mise-en-scène and the cinematography was so strong, and you got so much story from the world, and then they put an interesting mystery and a very character-driven character piece in it, and it was just such a much more like interesting. I did think that Blade Runner, the new one, got a little bit self-indulgent. It could have cut some of the scenes by a minute. There's a lot of scenes, especially when Ryan Gosling goes to find a little horse. It's like, I had this memory. I remember this corridor. I walked down it. I remember the staircase. I walked down it. I remember this, and I'm like, okay, just a little bit of editing. But in all honesty, like, sometimes it's nice to see someone that wants to self-indulge in their craft because it's good, rather than you're just sitting there going, what's going on, I'm bored. I just sometimes I get a little bit like distracted, and my attention span's not like amazing sometimes, but I liked the scoring, I liked the world. There was enough in it for me to not be bored out of my brain, unlike Ghost in the Shell movie, which is half the length, and I was truly bored. It's one of the only films in the history of cinema that I left to go to the toilet and come back because I was just like, dull. This one, because I liked the characters and I wanted their journey, and it was interesting, and the twist was good, and they didn't overuse Harrison Ford's character, and they did that in an intriguing way, and you still didn't 100% get the answers, and you'd want to see more from this world and more from the characters, and it did pull on your emotions, and it was just a wonderful way of showing that you can make a beautiful world, but unless you fill it with interesting characters and have a character-based storyline in it, it's all going to fall apart. And therefore these CGI like visual pieces come across as soulless, because they forget that you go see a movie for the characters, not just the backgrounds. And I mean, all of them had visually stunning, but Blade Runner was more. And I want more of that. I want a beautiful world building where you can get the story from the world, but you're kind of intrigued and you've got heart and soul and characters you want to follow. Shouldn't be too hard an ask, and it's just like, I just hope now that with the Star Wars film, something like 6 days away, that it continues to be that brilliant world building and mixture of practical effects and CGI that complement each other, but the main heart of the story is in characters that I actually care about. So fingers crossed, because yeah, I'm kind of getting a bit upset with beautiful looking films with no soul. But that's about that for that rant. For now, this is Lizzie signing off. Obviously, you can follow me at the Let Zoe Spoil You Tumblr blog and at Lone Dreamer Yowie on Twitter. But bye for now.